Okay, welcome to What the Body.
Welcome.
Well, that was.
Is it too?
Are you excited?
I don't know. Does that sound terrible? All right, let's do it again.
Welcome to What the Body. Yay! We have the amazing Becca with us today.
Yeah.
Not only is she a massive influencer on TikTok, she's also one of the most incredible artists, photographers I've ever met, and just has this amazing heart of gold. So we are so excited that you're here
nice
today.
Human. Yeah. Welcome to What the Body.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. So tell us your story. Me and you met, what, 4 years ago? 3.
Oh,
4
God.
years.
What is time?
2018.
years?
So, oh my gosh.
Okay.
5. Oof.
Yeah.
We met in Philly. We were both at a conference, a
Okay.
photography conference. And it was right at the beginning of my boudoir journey. I had just started, and it was with a photographer that's incredible up there, Cheyenne. And yeah, we met through that. And that was 5 freaking years ago.
You just clicked.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I'm kind of an extrovert collector. Whenever I'm in a group setting, because I'm such a severe introvert, I don't know. I like find the one who's like, oh, you're the social one, but also you're really nice. And I like you. And yes.
Oh, we had a great time. That was such a cool trip. And
I
then
adopted Caitlin.
I've just watched your journey over the last 5 years, and to watch just how you have morphed and the way that you change people's lives and have such an impact on people's lives is incredible. So tell us your story. Tell us kind of how did you get here? How are you in this space, and how are you operating in today's life?
Yes, I mean, photography wise, I grew up with a camera in my hand. I was just one of those people who always had my camera attached to me. I think it was sort of that introvert thing. It allowed me to observe the world and interact with the world while still sort of having an excuse to not engage or talk to people. And so like I never really took it seriously as a career opportunity. I grew up in the theater, actually, and so I was doing acting and all that, and that's what brought me out to LA. And then things just started slowly kind of shifting, I guess about a decade ago. I started having some health problems, and that's where like a bunch of body stuff comes into it as well. And I was figuring out how I felt about being on camera, and I was exhausted all the time, and I couldn't make it through like days on set and all of this. And I still wanted some sort of creative outlet. So I was leaning more into photography as a way to connect me to my creativity.
Love
and
that.
then I had so many actor friends that needed, photos and things. So people just started asking me for stuff. And I had a friend who, for her anniversary, wanted to do a sexy photo shoot for her husband, and was like, hey, I really feel comfortable with you. Would you want to maybe do this for me? Because I don't know anybody else that I would feel comfortable disrobing in front of. And so I did that, and I was like, holy shit, that was the best thing I've ever done. I felt game-changing, so good being able to like empower her. And I'd like, the thing where you see someone's brain just like flip, you see the light go on, and they just, their walls drop, and they just feel comfortable. And I was like, okay, I need to do more of this. So that's when I started leaning really hard into the boudoir photography. And then, weddings just kind of, it was like a friend of a friend. And then things just sort of picked up from there. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is what I do now. And I love
your wedding work is just exquisite.
I've seen some of it online. Some of it's on your website.
Yeah, it's I sort of call it a wedding photojournalist. Like I do a documentary wedding style, so I don't pose photos or anything like that. And it's just really,
that's great.
It sort of like mimics the way that I interact with the world.
And it
allows me to just sit back and listen and watch. And
it's like all of the things that as a bride you don't see, I think is the thing that's so fascinating to me, is like when somebody gets their photos back from you. She shot one of our friends, and Brittany, and I looked back through that, and I was like, some of the photos that she shared, I was like, this is the nuances that as a bride, you're so wrapped up in saying hi to everybody, making sure you're in the moment, that you like miss the little intricacies, and you hit those so exquisitely. And like when she travels, she does all of her travel photos. And I'm like, go on more trips because it brings my heart so much joy. Like every
We
time
wanna
she
go with
travels,
you.
I'm like, running to her stories. Like, I want to make sure.
Yeah,
and see
my stories pop off when I'm
Yeah,
when I'm
it's
out of
my
the country for
favorite.
sure.
It's my
I love
absolute
it.
favorite. Yes. And it's just like the way that you see the world is really, really cool.
Oh,
Really,
thank
really cool.
you.
Really, really cool.
Yeah, that wedding actually, it was funny because I got a message from the couple after the fact because Brittany's grandmother passed away. And was like, hey, I just want to let you know that like the photos you took of her, just like her hands and like us holding hands and like the way that her feet were crossed at her chair and her smiling and laughing, like those are like memories that we now have captured because you were there, and thank you for focusing in on those details. So that was just, yeah, it was really lovely, made me cry.
It's just like the things that people miss. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And then it's just wild because I had finally, I'm a person who's very motivated by stability. So I had a day job the entire time I was in LA. And then I finally got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm going to go full-time photography. I'm going to do this. I have enough saved up. I've got a nest egg. I'm going to take care of myself. This is great. I started training my replacement at my job I had been at for a decade the day we started working from home for COVID. And so the universe just said, like, you said you were leaving and now you're leaving. And so, and in the course of a week, I lost 1.5 years of work. All my weddings got canceled. And so I went from working basically like 80, 90 hours a week for so long, doing full-time job plus full-time photography, to literally nothing. And so I wasn't sure what to do. Instagram was frustrating me because it was so photography focused for me. And I was like, I'm not working. I don't want to just be posting old work. I'm seeing so many people who I feel like I'm a rule follower. I'm like, I see people who I think are breaking the rules by being out there. And I don't want to be like having these negative feelings about my friends. And so I just sort of completely disengaged from Instagram, and I ended up downloading TikTok. Just as maybe I can learn some dances and get some movement in at my house. And and then it just sort of like spiraled from there. I started posting a couple of things after lurking for a little while. I was like, oh, well, maybe I will share a thing or two. And it sort of started with me sharing lessons that I needed to hear and like remind myself, as someone who struggled with eating disorders and all of that, in a time when all of our systems and routines were disrupted. And I needed to remind myself that like I was going to be okay, and I needed to take care of myself, and I knew all of these things, and I knew how to do this. And so I just was kind of saying them out loud for myself, and it turned out that they resonated with other people.
The entire world.
And then it was like the right place at the right time, and I just grew a community really quickly there. So I never set out to be a creator or an influencer, but it's also wild because that had nothing to do with photography. Like my only online presence had ever been around being a photographer, and this was just about being a human who had learned a whole lot of lessons. So that's kind of how I landed there.
And you're such an empowered space, like everything from your fashion to how you talk about your body to the bread and the food that you eat. And I don't know, it's just like you're just like a happy soft landing space every time you come up on my page. Dude. I'm like, it's just really cool.
Yeah.
It's really, really
cool.
So
I'm sure a lot of our listeners follow you and, know who you are. And so I wonder if you could dive into a little bit more about just what you went through and what you were talking about originally and why you think people resonated so well with it.
Yeah. I mean, so I grew up in I would say honestly, probably a pretty standard house in the 80s and 90s, we had a binder of diets next to the fridge. We had an entire cabinet that was full of Slim Fast, that my mom called sludge, and Nutrisystem food. I went to see my first nutritionist when I was in elementary school.
Oh my God.
I was on diets from the time I was very young. And it was just in my brain that's just like what you did, right? Like there wasn't really another way to do that. And by the time I was in middle school, high school, I had an incredibly disordered relationship with food. And after my growth spurt, like I look back at photos now and I'm like, you were so thin. You were so thin.
I know.
What? And I just, I had severe body dysmorphia, obviously, but I was incredibly fat phobic. I was so scared. I look at pictures of my parents too, and they also weren't large then, but I had this image in my head of what we looked like as a family and what I didn't want my adult life to look like. And I wanted to and also acting was like a whole thing, right?
That's
like
a whole spiral
layer.
Yeah.
And so I just dieted my whole life, had a really horrible relationship with food and with movement and all of it. And then when I was going through the sort of health crisis in my like late 20s, early 30s, I was gaining weight and I wasn't sure why. And I was really trying to treat that in addition to treating whatever underlying health problems I had.
Yeah.
And I was hating myself in the process. And then I just got kind of fed up and was like, why am I hating the body that I'm trying to heal? It's trying to protect me somehow. And like, if I want to actually figure out what's going on with me, then I have to figure out what's going on with me. And I can't be fretting about the rest of it.
Right.
And I can't hate myself into healing.
Yeah.
So that's when I started changing around my social media feeds. That was kind of the first step, was unfollowing all of the things that made me feel bad about myself.
Your feed, honey.
We talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
I love that it resonates with every iteration of people that come on and talk about learning to love their body. Curating their feed is one of the first things that people talk about. And I think it's so dope that you just brought that up again, because that is honestly where the healing starts.
Well, and if you
it's such an important first step.
Yes.
If you talk to somebody and they're like, I hate social media. And I'm like, you need to curate your feed.
Yeah.
I've got such cool stuff on my social media. I love social media because I learn so much and I feel good about myself. And it's like, I don't have any of that shit on my social media.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh, I love that.
Good
I'm so glad that you just said that.
Yeah.
I love that.
It was such a massive step for me in like, also just like opening my eyes to, it's just like normalizing different bodies, right? And the more I wasn't great at looking at myself and being kind to myself, but I was constantly seeing other people and being like, they look amazing, they look hot, they look great in those clothes, they can do this. And then it slowly just kind of starts to seep into your brain. So yeah, it was that. And then I don't even remember where I was now. What was I talking about?
We were talking about kind of like what you started talking about on TikTok, like what your basis was.
Oh, yeah. So I was just like, had this incredibly disordered relationship with food. I had sort of started to heal that once, I sort of went on this, at the time, what I would have called like a body positivity journey.
Yeah.
And had gotten myself into an intuitive eating cycle and like all of these things that were just really, I wasn't restricting anymore, like stuff that was really great. My body was changing, but I wasn't fretting about it. And then COVID happened and I was stuck inside and all of my, as I said, systems and routines were sort of disrupted. My schedule changed. I was moving less. I was stuck at home. So I was like constantly cooking because I felt like it was the only thing that I could
Me too.
do to pass the time. But then I was feeling bad about it and I was starting to have like these guilt feelings. And then I had an appointment with a doctor. It was in May 2020, like a phone appointment just to refill a prescription, something super routine. And she asked how I was doing. And I told her that I was baking sourdough like every other millennial in quarantine. And she was like, oh, great. Well, just make sure you watch out because COVID-19 stands for the 19 pounds you've gained in quarantine.
No, the fuck. No.
Whoa.
My doctor.
No.
And so I was like, okay.
You're done. You're fired. Yeah.
I was like, there is a time when this would have made me spiral, but instead I'm going to remember all of the lessons that I know that I have learned. Like they still exist inside me, even if, my brain is trying to ping old thought patterns and habits at me. And so I went on TikTok and I made a video about that, of me eating a sandwich basically while telling that story. And that resonated. And then so that was my first TikTok video. That was the first thing that I was like, okay, I feel like I need to talk about this.
Love that.
Yeah. And sourdough is actually really good for your gut health. So,
at
that doctor,
yes,
like your gut biome needs that. look.
She received a scathing email from me after the fact. She
Ah,
apologized, but yeah, she thought she
still,
was making a joke.
the harm was done. That's like making a
Yes.
Then
joke about,
she has body dysmorphia.
yeah, like
you know,
that's a,
and we all do on some level that we need to unlearn, but
not like
not
that.
a doctor.
Yuck.
Yeah. Yeah,
Ugh.
it's rough.
I want to talk about your approach to clothing, specifically your octogenarian art teacher or librarian.
Art teacher,
art teacher.
Octogenarian art teacher.
Because the way that you approach clothes, and to me, the thing that resonates the most is how you talk about clothes and how your body should be able to move. Can you talk into that? Because we have a lot of people on that follow us, that listen to our stuff, that are sometimes struggling in my body's changing and what do I do about clothes? Nothing really fits. Can you talk about how you approach fashion? Because I think it's so snuggly. It's like,
it's so funny because I have always been someone who was like interested in style and fashion, but I never thought that anyone else would care what I had to say about it. And then it just I very naturally sort of happened into it on TikTok. And now it's like very much part of what I talk about. Yeah. Which is so funny. So I think it was, I don't know, a handful of years before COVID, I had kind of started diving into sustainable fashion and trying to get myself away from fast fashion, just from like an ethics and, sort of sustainability perspective. And in doing that, wide leg linen pants were like very much a vibe, right?
Yes.
And I bought a pair when I was on vacation visiting my best friend. I was like in Maine and they had them in this cute little boutique. And I was like, oh my God, I love, like my friend was wearing pants and I was like, you need to take me to this store where you bought these things. And so I bought those. And then I came home and I basically wore them the entire summer. And everyone I met was like, you have reached peak you. Like, I thought you looked like yourself, but now you look like yourself.
Yes.
Like I feel like I see you now based on the way that you're dressing. And so that just sort of started my dive into flowier silhouettes, I guess. And I had always had a really fraught relationship with my body. And when I was younger, because I am pear-shaped and I was always like smaller on top, I was always told to cinch the waist, right? It was like, I had an A cup, I had a smaller waist. It didn't matter what size my hips were. As long as I cinched the waist and like wore a fit and flare situation, like you would never know what's underneath there.
It's all hidden. Yeah.
It's all hidden. Yeah. It was very much that like, twee, like Zooey Deschanel style thing in the early 2000s. Like that was my vibe. And so everything I had was just really tight and cinched. And when that started to shift, my therapist one time had asked me, because we would do frequent check-ins on my body, and she asked, how I had been feeling in my body. And I stopped and I was like, I actually don't think I've thought about my body today. And she was like, why do you think that is? And I was wearing like flowy elastic waist, wide leg linen pants and like a boxy tee, and just like a cardigan or sweater or something over that because I was at work. And I was like, oh, it's because I haven't had to adjust my clothes. Like I've just been moving through the world without thinking about, I don't have to adjust my waistband or pull my boobs up or like pull my skirt down or, think about any of it. And then I was like, shit, okay, that's great to know. And then my whole wardrobe just started kind of shifting in that direction. And then when it came to TikTok, I guess people were noticing pieces that I had and asking where they came from, and then sort of asking about my style. And I always sort of jokingly referred to my style as like art teacher meets 70s vice principal. Like, because I was still wearing a lot of skirts at the time, and I was like, oh, like a midi skirt and clogs and like a sweater, or like it was all just very kind of cozy and earthy. And then it kind of started evolving, I guess, maybe because I wasn't working in an office anymore. So I, like so many people, started figuring out in quarantine what I actually
Yes.
wanted.
Yes.
And how I wanted to present myself when I didn't have specifically men, but anyone looking at me, you know, out in the world. And so, yeah, it just sort of started evolving. And then I was jokingly referring to my style as like retired art teacher, and then talking about how I just, you know, really wanted to channel the give no fucks attitude of an 85-year-old woman.
Yes.
Like, it's not that I want to dress like an 85-year-old, but it's just the idea that like I don't care what you think.
Right. I love that.
And my version, I think the reason I landed on octogenarian art teacher, for me, it's a character. A lot of people like try to pin down the look, and I refuse to be put in a box.
Don't
It's my
put me in a
Aquarius
box.
rising.
Yeah.
But I like see a fully fleshed out character in my head as to who an octogenarian art teacher is for me. And I like that it can be different for everyone, but like I want to look like someone who is fully comfortable in my body and is like jet setting and can go from like an art studio to a gallery opening to a cafe in Paris, right? So you get a lot of like nice fabrics, and you get a lot of black, and things like are maybe comfortable, but they're put together. And I think you would resonate with this as well. Like, this is a person whose art studio is filled with figure work.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Naked figures. This is someone who is not afraid of just because she's covered up doesn't mean she's afraid of disrobing. She's not doing it because she's afraid of her body. It's because she is just comfortable in her body. So
I can feel that person.
I feel like I need to like, this is what I've been looking for in my style. Like, I evolved over COVID too. I'm not as talented as it sounds like you're describing this, but it sounds like I would wear every fucking thing.
No,
that
you
she
would.
wears.
You would 100%.
Absolutely.
And Jess is very much sustainable brands girl as well. Whereas I am, if it fits on my body, I buy it kind of girl. Because it's very, very rare that I find something that has a 36-inch seam and a smaller waist and a bigger butt and tiny boobs, but then a bigger rib cage. Like, I'm the kind of person, but she'll like curate her wardrobe and specialty shop for pieces that are like legacy pieces, right? Just like you do. And so I very much feel like your energies vibe in that regard. Because I do very much feel like you follow the same path from fashion.
Okay. I'm going to look at it more.
Yeah. And you just walked in your first, correct me if I'm wrong, but your first fashion show.
Yeah.
That was their first one,
How
right?
exciting.
Yes.
And it's with these awesome play suits, right? Like these just comfortable, like unitard awesomeness.
Yeah, like flying squirrel suits.
Like the
Evan
shit that you wear.
Yeah, I wear it all the time.
All the time. She wears these all the time. And I'm just was like, whoa. But you got to walk in your first show. I'm so excited. Tell us more about that.
It was amazing. It was so Evan Bedell's the designer of the play suit. He won I think it was the first season of Project Runway Canada. So he's like a big deal up there. And he hadn't done a show in a while, and he kind of wanted to come back with a bang. He created the play suit during COVID, and then I had, as he said, sort of like blown up his business when I posted about it, and it sort of opened him up to a new market and new customer. And he wanted to do a fashion show where he kind of took the play suit, which is, I don't know, seen as generally like comfy loungewear or like festival wear, or just, you know, like sort of in your body, not like, you're not thinking about it as like a high fashion piece. He wanted to like take it and make like play suit fashion, like play suit luxe, play suit nightlife. And it was so amazing. And he flew in like all of these really great models that he's worked with from over the years. And Stacey McKenzie, who was on like America's Next Top Model and has done like runway coaching and is wildly talented. And then me. And I was like, I have never walked in a runway show before. I don't know what I'm doing, but he flew me and my partner out there, and it was amazing. I think it really helped that I grew up in theater. So just being like, okay, I'm just gonna breathe into this experience.
She strutted. Like, I was like,
yes, girl.
I was also in a sheer play suit. So it was like it was a sheer thing. And then I had a very cheeky little bathing suit, but like bodysuit situation underneath. So whole ass out, all of it. And it was was wild because I was so anxious about so many pieces of the thing, just like how I wanted, it was raining and my hair wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And like, you know, there were just like, it was really busy backstage and I didn't have time to walk in my shoes. There were just like so many little things, but not once during the day, and I didn't realize this until after the fact, did I stop to worry about my body.
Oh, that I just got goosebumps.
That's great.
Friend, that's
like
really
I did
cool.
not give an iota of stress or energy to what I was going to look like walking in a sheer item of clothing on a runway in my first fashion show in front of a room full of strangers on a runway with models. Like that was, it didn't even cross my mind.
That's
and
look at my goosebumps. That gave me all over body goosebumps. Look at that. That's crazy. I've never had this happen. Friend, that's so killer.
Yeah.
It was,
I'm so proud of you.
A really cool realization. Yeah.
Oh, dang. That's so fun.
I feel like it's everything that I've been working towards is the neutrality part of it, right?
Yes.
Where you just,
it is
understanding that like, you know, I always try and say that like body neutrality is a very personal philosophy. You have to, you know, fat positive, fat liberationist out in the world, because you have to work with, you know, try to break down the systems. But when it comes to my own personal relationship with my own body, trying to think about it as little as possible is the goal, and feeling like
very much that
it's things like that make me go, oh yeah, shit, I have taken some gigantic strides.
Major strides.
It's interesting when you start a journey, you know, you're like, oh shit, this is going to be hard. Ugh. And you're doing the work. And I love the staircase, you know, and like, you know, you can stop and you kind of look back and you're like, well, shit, I've okay. And you keep going, you know, and then you realize you've kind of peaked on that journey, and you look down and you're like, hot damn,
I did it.
I've taken a shit ton of steps and I started in the negative. What is next? Like, it's almost like you're like, come on, I can do it. What's next?
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. I think it's one of the things that I try to stop and remember, because it's really easy when you're on the journey to be like, oh yeah, I'm just like continuing to move forward. I don't know how far I've come, like whatever.
Yeah, right.
But I think TikTok and just social media in general has helped me to sort of slow down and, you know, talk about the lessons that I have learned and recognize the progress that I've made, because like I said, I did not know when I was younger that there was another way. I thought that
you're a kid.
I would be 70 still picking at my food and dieting and fretting about what my arms looked like, and if I had rolls when I sat down, and trying to tuck my cellulite under my thighs. Like I thought I would be that person. And so, and I know that so many people are also, because you just don't have you don't have anyone modeling for you.
No, and
so,
you don't know any different.
Yeah.
And now look at you. You got salt brands and you're working with all sorts of people and like doing the things. I feel like I'm a stalker. Like I just love your life. Because it opens up so many things of like enjoying the food that you eat and making sure it's flavored appropriately. And like the way that you talk about cooking and all of that stuff is just it's very neutral. It's very like, this is what makes my heart feel good. It's not, you should do this because. It's like, this is what makes my heart sing. And I think it opens up the door for other people to go, I didn't know I could cook like that. I didn't know I could cook with my taste buds and my heart and not worry about what it's doing to my body.
And hopefully explore what they like and what they want and what feels good for them. You know, that's the goal.
That journey of also deconstructing diet culture. And then I was a vegetarian for 18 years. I eat meat now, but I'm still pretty picky about it. But I eat a lot of vegetables and I really like vegetables, and I go to the farmer's market every Sunday and we eat a lot of fresh produce, and figuring out what it is that I like because I like it was a process for me. It was like, okay, how do I, you know, get rid of the things that I ate just because they were supposed to take up space, right? They take up the space of the food that would cost me calories. And what do I eat because I actually really enjoy it? And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, have such a negative association with quote healthy food because it's so wrapped up in this diet culture mentality and it's forced on us as like a punishment when things can be really delicious. And so I want to model that, but without talking about it. You know?
Right. Because it's like you cook amazing food.
Yeah, I do.
It's the same thing, but we don't talk about it. Cause like we start to talk about different nutrition and shit like that. And my brain immediately starts to spiral like, ooh, let's get into this disordered eating. And like, restriction and it's not that. It's really abundance. It's really like you have the world at your beck and call,
you can
and
eat whatever you want,
whatever the fuck you want. Yeah.
But I love going and getting like a refrigerator full of just like fruits and vegetables and just concocting various things and coming up with stuff. And I love, well, I think it has to do with like, I moved to it like basically a house in the woods. Like I love the earth, and like I like to put the earth in me, and I'm all hippie about it in my brain.
She's a little fairy living out here in her little fairy cabin.
So I want to get my fairy suits from you. I'll have to.
Oh yeah.
The place. Sure. I'm telling you, you would, yes, very much that.
But I don't not put cheese on it, or I don't, whatever it is that we're eating.
Totally.
I'm like, does this taste good to you?
Yeah.
Right. Like,
if not, fix it the way that it does taste good.
Yeah, it's like I love a salad, but I joke that I cook with kind of like formulas rather than recipes. Yeah. So it's like I need something or a vegetable, preferably something green, something salty, something crunchy, something like it's just you just need all of something spicy, something vinegary. Like you need something that like hits all of those markers. And so I'm gonna put some cheese on it, and I'm gonna use some amazing dressing, and I'm gonna put like
when
you're coming
out with a
whatever
cookbook, you really should come out with a cookbook. I'm sure
it's I was just gonna
I'm sure it's in the works.
I was like, I wanted to ask what's next, but that's usually like a last question. But I'm like, okay, so what's next? What are we doing next?
Yeah, and people have talked about a cookbook situation. I just that one, it feels intimidating. I think especially because I don't cook with recipes, and you kind of need recipes for a cookbook. But I don't know. I've thought about the formula.
No, it could literally be the 5 components and it could be like just an ever flowing, like ebbing. This is what I would do, and these are the elements that I would put in. You know what I mean? Like it could be
here's some things you could substitute or add in.
Yeah.
You want more crunch. Here's 5 things you could add. You want more salty. Here's 5 things. Yeah. If it's intimidating, then you should do it. That's where the joy is,
if
bro.
It's not scary before you start. Is it even
right?
worth doing?
No.
Yeah. So you're also aging backwards. I mean, let's talk about it. Her skincare routine.
Oh,
unreal. Fucking real.
I clung to it like a life raft during quarantine. I was like, the only thing I have to wake up for is skincare. So guess what? We're doing every day.
Every single day.
Yeah. You have a nighttime skin. I'm revamping my whole nighttime skincare, and I started following this woman. I don't remember her name right now because I've seen her twice. And she's 48, I think. And she's like, I don't use Botox. And I'm like, all right, bitch, you've had a bunch of lasers. I know it. But regardless, she has all these like recommended things that she...
Is she the person who layers all the toners? Is it her?
No,
like
she's got blonde hair. She's got big blue eyes. Anyway, I don't remember her name, but so I literally screenshotted shit last night. It was like writing down all these things. So if you have a night routine, I'm here for it.
She uses the new face.
I do use my new face. Yes.
Yep.
I love my microcurrent. I've been using it since 2020. It is.
Oh, I have the Dr. Goslin one.
Okay.
Right? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. See?
Yeah.
She's my human.
Yeah.
All right. I've got that.
Okay.
Check.
You use sunscreen every day. You're a big sunscreen advocate.
Yes, I do.
Not
use
at night,
sunscreen every day. Yeah. No, you're looking for a nighttime routine. I double cleanse at night because I use sunscreen during the day. I don't wear a lot of makeup, but because of the sunscreen, I just want to make sure I get everything off. So I like to do an oil cleanser or a cleansing balm.
Okay.
And then a water-based cleanser, whatever that comes next. And then I will usually put some sort of toner on. I never understood toner once upon a time. I was like, what are these bottles of things? I think it's because I grew up with like Clean and Clear, like astringent
same.
that you would put on your face. But yeah, I've found some really amazing hydrating toners that I really like. So I'll just kind of put some of that on. The key is putting everything on damp skin, because your skin absorbs it better if you're putting things on damp skin. And then I have a couple of different products that I rotate through, but I have started using retinol for the first time.
See, I stopped using it year. Because the prescription I was using is too rough, and I need to find an
did you have a tretinoin prescription?
Yeah, and I need to find an OTC retinol for sure.
Yeah. I've been using a Murad one recently.
Okay.
Because they sent me a handful of things and I really like it. It feels gentle enough that I can actually put it on damp skin, where normally I needed my skin to be totally dry before I put any sort of acid or active.
Is that the trick?
On
Because
there.
it burns the piss out of me.
Or it could just be the wrong one. This is I mean, I'm 45 and I haven't settled on my retinol that I love.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Protocol was another one that I really liked too. And that one, it's cool because it's dosed out. Like when you pump it, like one dose of it comes out. So you know exactly how much you're getting in a bottle, which I feel like so often with skincare, you're like using too much of it in the beginning. And at the end, you're trying to like scrape the last bit out of it,
Yeah. Begging and pleading for more to come out. You're like, I know you were in there tipping the bottle. Yeah. No, I love that. I love that.
Absolutely.
Oh,
and then some sort of moisturizer, whatever you like. And then I usually finish with like a face oil just to sort of lock.
Face oil is
you don't have acne prone skin, do you?
I do not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's putting moisture on moisture on moisture. And I'm
like, yes. I am so dry. I'm like, just pack it all in there.
No, it's good. I mean, that's what's good for your skin, but
you can't do moisture like that?
Not like that. Like I don't use oil cleansers. Most people do as like the first round cleanser. Absolutely not. I use like Neutrogena acne wash. That would kill. She would die if she used that on her face.
I can't. That's what I used to use in like high school. Yeah.
I still use it. It's the best
oil-free cleanser.
It dries me out so bad. Like if I sneeze wrong, my face is like peeling off because it's so dry. Like,
me too. That was like these last couple of years are the first time that like my nose doesn't peel off anymore.
Yeah.
Like, this is so nice.
Yeah. Do you like going to the humidity? Like, is your skin like happy or does it go?
Oh my God. Direction? Yeah. When I went to Provence last year and if I was shooting a wedding and like I literally just like arrived at the place and everyone was like, what are you doing? Why do you look? I'm like a sweaty mess and you look amazing. I was like, yes, my hair is very happy. My skin is so happy. I think it's because it's also so dry in LA. Like when I go somewhere where it's humid, my skin is like,
yes. Yeah. Welcome to the South. It's literally so humid here already.
Yeah. All right. So we're considering a cookbook.
Yeah.
We're doing skincare routines. What else? What do we got? What's next?
I have a new salt coming out with Josu Salt on June 9th. So that's exciting.
How many total salts do you have currently? You have 2, 3?
2. Yeah, this will be my second one. Yeah. So we're relaunching the spicy citrus, which we released last November. I think it was on Small Business Saturday.
Okay.
Last year, and that's like my baby. Yeah, it's like a orange and lemon and chili. It's so good. And then the new one is a green goddess salt. So it's like an herby salt, like tarragon and chive and lemon. And parsley. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. So good on eggs and just like sprinkled on salads and in dressings and dips and stuff. I wanted it to complement so I could use them together if I wanted to like fill in.
She's going to cost me a lot of money.
No, I know she is. She's going to cost you a lot. Good thing she has links on all of it. Well, I'll get you her links.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We definitely need to put you onto that because that's important. It's important.
Okay.
Spend half my life telling people the link is in my bio.
Literally.
The link's in my bio.
She had a couple of things blow up from like a recipe standpoint. Like RecipeGate was a big deal because like I kid you not, it was like I'm cooking this and the link is in the bio and it's like in the fucking comment link is in the bio and people are like, fuck you should die. Why did you make this and the recipe's not here? Like it was so aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with people? Link is in the bio. It's like 2 steps. What are we doing?
You should die.
It was people Soupgate. People were so mad about it. And then it like the video, as it happens, the video just like went dormant for like 3 weeks. Like, it went off of people's For You page. It was great. Everything was quiet. And then I don't know what happened overnight. All of a sudden it like shot up like 600,000 views overnight. I woke up in the morning and was like, how did this go viral overnight 3 weeks later? Like what just happened? I have a bunch of angry comments again.
I just can't. People are so weird.
People are so weird
in the best possible way. But I'm like, how do you follow directions? Like, do you not listen or read?
It's just like a venting platform for them. They're so unhappy and you look cute and happy. And so they're like, where's the fucking recipe? I'm not happy.
Yeah.
I'm not happy. You're not happy.
Yeah. I feel like TikTok is an interesting thing where like you're moving so quickly through content that sometimes like you're feeling something about a video you saw,
yeah,
3 videos ago, but you're still holding on to it. So then something comes up that you're like, oh, now I can take out all of my aggression on this totally unrelated person.
Absolutely that. Absolutely that. Oh man, that's
God.
actually really funny, but it's very, very true. Oh God,
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it like that. But yeah, that's so funny.
Bless.
That's so good.
I can't even imagine. I was just picturing myself doing what you guys do. And I just had this horror. Like, did you hear me? I was like growling. I was like, oh, no. It's no way. Absolutely no way. Am I making a cute video of me making a recipe and someone's like, I'd be like, motherfucker.
Yeah, I do that though.
I would
talk
go
back
off
to people a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
you do? Okay.
Yeah.
And then I would go cry. That's exactly what I do.
Yes, you would definitely go cry. Well, but you also, you manage a brand page that has like a lot of crazy aggressive comments on it. So like you sort of in your own right do that.
But it's not me.
No, it's never you.
Well, that's not true. That podcast video gets some interesting feedback, but
yeah,
it just feels different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know.
You guys are just badasses. I don't know.
Somebody's got to put themselves out there. Because if we don't, then
how will I be entertained?
There you go. Sometimes I do feel like a circus goer. Like,
well, your shit is good. Both of your guys' stuff is super entertaining and good and wholesome and authentic and like real and good. That's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm going to curate my feed, I'm watching both of you.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not trying to get you to enter. I just want you to be yourself.
Yeah. I took a TV time out because I was not showing up as myself. I haven't really been posting recently. And it's just been, it's honestly been because I am underwater with the creative side of stuff. And so it's hard to then try and be fun and creative on a platform that you're like, I'm creatived out. I'm over it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. And so it's hard to check back into that. I'll get going again.
Then it feels like you're performing.
And then it just feels like you're just like symboling in the background, like a wind up toy. I don't know. It's just very strange. But yeah,
makes sense.
So, okay. So what are you looking forward to the most in the next year? Like what's setting your soul on fire right now?
Oh, wow. I was literally just talking to my partner about how we don't have a trip planned. So I was like, we need to get a thing on the books. Cause they just like, I was looking forward to Toronto. That was like the thing that I had my sights set on. And now I'm like, okay, that's passed. We need something on the books that feels like it's just for me and not for work. Cause I am traveling quite a bit for weddings and I'm trying to figure that out. But I don't know if this sort of qualifies, but I hired a virtual assistant recently who's been helping me out. And I now have had her, I think it's been like 2 months that we've been working together. And I traveled for a wedding for the first time while she has been working with me. And it was the first time that like, oh, I was gone for this thing and I would open my inbox and be like, oh, wait, I don't have to worry about this right now. Everything is happening without me and I can just focus on the creative. I don't have to worry about all of the business.
Don't look at me like that. I hear you. I see your eyes. I hear you.
Dude, I had a friend who was like trying to get me to do it for like the last 2 years. And I finally,
I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
Okay. You're saying do it. Okay. All right.
4,000.
I did not know. Yeah. I'm so specific about the way I like things. I am such control freak. I have a very like tuned in voice on who I am and my brand is me. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And I did not know how I could possibly hand that off to someone else. But when I tell you, it has already felt just like such a godsend. Yeah. And so I'm really excited for what this next year is going to feel like, where I can focus a little bit more on that and not be so stressed. Like when I sit down to edit at my computer, now I can edit.
Yeah.
Instead of editing and then checking my email to see if there's something that I need to, you know what I mean?
And then like invoicing and then did that email go off or did we schedule that?
Did that person reply?
Yeah. Oh no. Okay. I hear you. Your eyes are boring into me.
Well, it's ironic that you're talking about this because I just listened to a podcast I follow and they were talking about how that is almost more than 50% of one of the guys' business. Everybody gets an assistant. And I was like, that is a fantastic idea.
Maybe we can get an assistant together, a virtual assistant together.
No, you need your own first.
Okay. All right.
Please,
also,
God,
I think one of the things that freaked me out was the idea that like I wasn't going to be able to have someone like pay someone enough to do it full time. And who else are they going to be? And it's somebody who like does this.
Yeah.
So she just does like 5 hours a week for me, and she multitasks with other people. And
oh
It's her
no.
job.
yeah.
Okay. Virtual assistant. I
Yep.
will add it to my list of things that I need to tippy top.
It's for me. Just think about it.
I know. Poor girl. I'm down there today trying to teach her how to edit in Premiere. I'm like, you do this and then you do this. And 72 steps later, you do this. And then don't forget that this is somewhere in the middle. And she's like, okay.
I'm going to do it. I'm like, rock that shit.
I'm like, but I need your help because I cannot survive
Yeah.
like this. Like,
Good. It's
ugh.
going to be good for me.
Okay. Yeah, it is. We'll find somebody. Wow. That's exciting. So virtual assistant, anything else that's setting your soul on fire besides planning a new trip?
Why I don't know why I'm blanking. I feel like there should be more things setting my
you're living
soul
your
on
most
fire.
Epic soft girl era, and I love it.
Yeah,
soft
I
babe
think
era. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just leaning into that a little bit, I think I'm really excited to have more time. I feel like the last couple of years I have been rough on myself because I wasn't working like a day job anymore and just doing photography, and then with content creation coming up behind that, and just like working all the time and constantly talking about like, oh, I can't go to dinner, or I can't go away for the weekend, or I can't meet our friends, or I can't do whatever because I'm in an editing hole, or I have to like do these things and like these are deadlines and whatever. And I've been really mindful about the language that I use recently, and just being like, oh, I have editing to do, not I'm in an editing hole, like just trying to be sort of softer with the way that I speak to myself. And so I think I'm excited for a summer that feels like, oh, I am doing the work to support the life that I have and that I lead, but I am not completely immersing myself or drowning myself in work. And it'll be the first time since, because even pre-COVID, I was just, I was working 2 jobs and so much that it was really hard. And then COVID obviously was really hard. And then last year I was like pulling myself out, and that was hard. And so I just feel like I'm excited to sort of breathe into life and being a social being again a little bit.
That's great.
I love that.
Yeah.
That sounds really nice.
A lot you can take from that.
A lot I can take from that. I feel very judged.
Oh, come on.
It's so easy when we work for ourselves to just, what do they say? It's like, I left my 9 to 5 so that I could work 24/7.
Yeah.
Somebody said that the other day, and I was like, bro, you jumped from the frying pan to the fire on that one. Joke's on you. Little did you know. Yeah. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
No. I still wouldn't work for anybody. Like,
it's better.
I still can't imagine doing anything but what I'm doing. And I feel like you are in that same boat. Like, I could not imagine you anywhere else in your life right now besides where you are, because you fit so perfectly. Like, it's so beautiful. You're flourishing. You look like a sunburst, like a little flower that just opened up, and you're like living your best life. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I'm also loving it.
Yeah, good.
Yay. You are also one of the only boudoir photographers in the country that I would actually refer to. So how do people contact you if they are on the West Coast and want to work with you and want to create art with you? How do they contact you?
Through my website, beccamurrayphoto.com. Becca at beccamurrayphoto.com is the email. And then, I am online, the Becca Murray, everywhere. So going through there. Yeah.
Definitely go follow her TikTok, follow her IG, go shop her salts, encourage her to make a cookbook so that we can all eat her delicious, yummy concoctions and food.
I'm going for the clothes and the skincare.
You're going for the clothes and the skincare. I'm going for the food.
Okay.
A girl has no niche. So
no niche. No niche. Well, good deal. Is there anything else that you think our listeners should know about you before you go?
Oh, I feel like I covered a lot of ground. Is there anything else that you want to know about me before I go?
Goodness, I don't know.
Complete.
We touched on all the things that I wanted to talk about.
We did.
It's joy.
So much joy. We so appreciate you. I love you so big. I'm so proud of you. And I hope you just keep showing up and being the sunshine that you are.
Can't wait to see what's next.
Yay. Thank you so much for coming.
It was so good chatting.
Make sure to like and subscribe if you like our content. You can find us on IG at What the Body Pod. You can also send us an email at hello@whatthebody if you have questions or want to hear something specific.
Reach out.
Reach out. We love having you here.
Yep.
Bye.